You know, I always thought buying a house would be the ultimate dream. Owning a little piece of the world that's all yours. And for a while, it was. I found this perfect little spot in a quiet neighborhood. The sun hit the living room just right in the morning. The backyard was big enough for my dog, Max, to go wild, and the neighbors seemed friendly enough. There was just one tiny, little, microscopic catch: the homeowners association. The dreaded HOA. When I moved in, they seemed reasonable. They gave me a welcome basket with some local jam and a 300-page rulebook. Red flag, I know, but I figured, how bad could it be? Keep the lawn mowed, don't paint your house neon pink. Simple stuff, right, wrong. So wrong. It started small. A notice about my garden gnome being 1 inch too tall. A fine for my recycling bin being visible from the street for exactly 2 hours too long. It was annoying, but I complied. I just wanted to live in peace. The real trouble started with my front door. It was a beautiful, solid oak door that I'd refinished myself. It had character. But according to the HOA, its particular shade of rustic oak was not on the pre-approved list of acceptable browns. They sent me a letter demanding I repaint it to Walnut Whisper or Suburban taupe. I tried to reason with them. I sent them pictures, explained that it was the original door, a piece of the house's history. Their response: a letter with a bigger fine and a deadline. I'm not one to back down from a fight, especially a ridiculous one. So, I ignored them. A week went by, then another. I thought maybe they'd forgotten, moved on to harassing someone about their wind chimes. That's when it happened. I came home from a long day at work, my keys in my hand, ready to collapse on the couch. I put the key in the lock, and it wouldn't turn. I tried again, nothing. I jiggled it, I pushed, I pulled. It was like my key was a complete stranger to my own lock. At first, I thought the lock was just jammed. But then I saw it, tiny, fresh scratches around the lock set. The kind you get when you replace a lock. A cold, sinking feeling washed over me. I looked at the letterbox, and sure enough, there was another crisp, white envelope from the HOA. I ripped it open. Inside was a single, shiny new key and a note. It said, per Article 7, Section B, the HOA has taken remedial action to ensure compliance. A new, compliant lock has been installed. The bill for the locksmith will be added to your monthly dues. I was speechless. They had come onto my property, without my permission, and changed the lock on my front door. All because of the color. This wasn't just a notice or a fine anymore. This was a violation. I was furious. My hands were shaking, a mix of anger and disbelief. For a moment, I just stood there on my own porch, locked out of my own home by a committee of busybodies obsessed with beige. That night, sleeping on a friend's couch, I couldn't stop thinking about it. They had crossed a line, a big one. They thought they could just walk all over me, treat my home like it was theirs. And that's when the idea hit me. It was a crazy, over-the-top, and frankly, a bit of a theatrical idea. But they started this war. I was going to finish it. They wanted to mess with my door. Fine. I was going to give them a door they would never, ever forget. The next morning, I was on the phone. I wasn't calling a painter or a regular locksmith. I was calling a company that specialized in high-security installations. I spent hours researching, making calls, and looking at catalogs. I found exactly what I was looking for. It wasn't cheap, but at this point, it wasn't about money. It was about principle. It was about making a statement so loud and clear that the HOA would never dream of touching my property again. A week later, a massive flatbed truck rumbled down my quiet suburban street. My neighbors peeked out their windows. Their curiosity peaked. On the back of that truck was my new front door. A 5-inch thick, solid steel, circular bank vault door, the kind you see in heist movies. It had a classic 3-spoke crank wheel and a complex, dual combination lock. It weighed over 2,000 pounds. A team of specialized installers spent the entire day reinforcing the doorframe with steel beams and carefully hoisting the monstrosity into place. The HOA president, a woman named Carol who seemed to live on a diet of kale and superiority, was on my lawn in minutes. Her jaw was practically on the ground. What is the meaning of this? She screeched, pointing a trembling finger at the gleaming steel circle now embedded in my house. I just smiled, a calm, serene smile. It's my new front door, Carol. I checked your 300-page rulebook twice. There are incredibly detailed rules about color, about materials like wood and fiberglass. even about the style of the doorknob. But there is not a single word, not one, about bank vault doors. It seems you have a loophole, she was sputtering, trying to form a coherent sentence. But, it's an eyesore. It doesn't conform to the neighborhood aesthetic. Doesn't it? I asked, turning the big wheel. The tumblers clicked into place with a satisfying, heavy clunk dash clunk dash clunk. I think it has a certain, secure aesthetic. And the best part? It's compliant. You can't touch it. Your locksmith's little pick-set isn't getting through this. I gave the wheel a final turn, and the massive bolt slid home with a deep, resonant boom that echoed down the street. The aftermath was glorious. The HOA board convened an emergency meeting. They sent letters, they sent lawyers, they sent threats. They tried to invent new rules on the spot, but their own bylaws required a lengthy voting process to amend the rulebook. I attended the next HOA meeting, just for fun. The room was buzzing. My vault door was the only topic of conversation. They tried to argue it was a structural modification done without approval. I produced the signed-off permits from the city, which I had, of course, diligently secured. Every argument they made, I had a counter-argument for. I had followed every rule, every ordinance, every code. Their own obsession with detailed, nitpicky rules had become their undoing. The story spread like wildfire. Local news outlets picked it up. My house became a minor tourist attraction. People would drive by slowly, taking pictures of the suburban house with the bank vault for a front door. Some thought I was a hero. Others thought I was crazy, but you know what? My life became incredibly peaceful. The HOA left me completely alone. No more letters, no more fines, no more surprise locksmith visits. It was like the vault door was a giant, steel do not disturb sign. It's been a year now. The vault is still there. Opening it every day is a bit of a workout, but it's a small price to pay for freedom. Sometimes, I see Carol glaring at it from across the street as she walks her poodle, and every time, I give the big wheel a little spin and a wave. They wanted to control my door, so I gave them one they couldn't even dream of controlling. They learned a valuable lesson that day. Don't start a fight with someone who has more time, more spite, and access to a commercial vault supplier. My home is my castle, and now it has a door to match. Thanks for watching my story. If you've ever had a crazy run-in with an HOA, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about fighting the good fight. See you next time.